It's the Monday Night Results Show. Just the results, and nothing but the results. From this past weekend's race at your favorite racetracks, if you're looking for a lot of happy talk and fluff, tune into the Disney Channel. And now, the man with a mind for statistics. Unfortunately, those statistics are usually odds on the ponies in Vegas. Mitch, the Dr. Walker.
All right, y'all come on in. The door's open. It's the Monday Night Results Show, and we're kicking it off. We're getting ready to go. We got a great show lined up for you tonight, and hope everybody has recuperated from the that race they had last night out there in Houston. I watched that for a long time. I just never could figure out when they was going to line them up and go green, but it is what it is. Let's rock and roll like we're supposed to with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we got a big show coming up tonight. I have got West Coast driver, the IMCA Paris Speedway's modified champion out of Yucaipa, California, Mr. Chuck Becker is going to be sitting in with us a little bit later on in the show. We've got some news. We've got some updates, some racetracks that are opening back up. Got some news on Volusia Speedway down in Florida. Got, let me see. We've got some upcoming dates, some things that are going on. The Lucas Series is getting ready to kick off. The World of Outlaw Series is getting ready to kick off. Lucas kicks off February 9th through the 11th. It's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday down at Golden Isle and down there in South Georgia. We've got, not this coming weekend, but next weekend is the Shamrock at Boyd Speedway. A lot of races that's coming up. We've got the World of Outlaws will be kicking off in February. The 13th through the 18th, I believe, is the dates on that one. I think my computer took off on me. 13th through the 18th at East Bay, the Winter Nationals. We'll be talking a little bit about that. Great Cumberland Raceway is the up there in Cumberland, Maryland, is the racetrack that is one of them that is coming back. New promoter at Volusia. Real quick, I want to say a very special happy birthday to James Maddox. They call him Beavis around here, but big racer and supporter of racing in this area. He is he's always out there helping out when he can, and I want to say a very special happy birthday to him. Our longtime friend of the show and friend of mine, Bill Blair, is getting ready to take his dad's tribute car down to the North Turn Speedway down in Daytona. When they get ready to do Speed Weeks down there, he will be doing the parade lap in honor of his father, Bill Blair Sr. And Bill is always a ton of fun, and he is my walking, talking encyclopedia. Not only does he know the history of the sport, he lived the history of the sport. And as somebody once said, a man who walks in two worlds. That's Bill Blair. And we'll be talking about him a little bit later on. Tell you what, we're going to step out, take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some NASCAR drivers and some of the things they're doing, and an interesting conversation that happened on Twitter. So don't go nowhere. Sit tight, get you something cold to drink, and pull it back, because it's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and you'll find us exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology, I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash.
The only thing I didn't learn in school today?
The only thing I didn't learn today.
The only thing I didn't learn
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
Media sales professionals with agency experience. If you're frustrated with your current position, unrealistic quotas, and inept management, if you're a sales machine and you simply will not take no as an acceptable reply, if you're looking for a rapidly growing company with unlimited sales potential for commissions in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're searching for a high-tech, forward-looking, laid-back, but extremely professional organization who appreciate your skills and dedication, we have your next opportunity. Scorpion Radio Group is building a sales team of self-starters who are motivated. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444 or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. That's 717-749-0444 and ask for Sue.
COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is a lung disease that robs people of their ability to breathe. As many as 24 million Americans suffer from COPD, also known as chronic bronchitis or emphysema, and half of them don't know they have the disease. If you or someone you love is over 35 and has smoked more than 100 cigarettes in their lifetime, visit driveforcopd.org and take the screener, then take that to your doctor. I'm Jeff Stoltz, and I drive for COPD.
It's the Monday Night Results Show. The name says it all. Now back to your host, the doctor.
I keep my Facebook page open during the show. And during commercial breaks, sometimes I'll check my messages. Well, there was a conversation going earlier with a young man who owns Leadfoot Lights, I think it is. He does LED light ribbons that goes under your race car. You flip a switch, and when you pull in the pits, you can flip a switch, and you can see underneath your race car to work on them. Great idea, and we're going to be talking. I'm going to try to get him on the show coming up. He's a racer too, but we were talking about dirt or concrete floors, and he said that, man, he said no matter what he does, he can't get his floor to where it don't have dust on it, dirt on it all the time. Well, I'll tell you a little secret, and I had an old man teach me this years ago. Linseed oil, you get about 3 gallons of linseed oil and cut it with about a quart of gasoline. Mix that on your floor and let it dry, let it soak in, and you will never, ever again have problems with dust on your floor. All right, stupid trivia that nobody really knows, but somebody out there is going, damn, I never thought about that. All right. As everyone knows, I have, well, you may not know, but I'll tell you anyway. The doctor has stepped up and commenced to tweeting, whatever the hell it is you do on Twitter. If you want to follow me, it's 309 THEDR. 309 the doctor. And feel free to follow me and whatever it is you do. I get on there and occasionally post some of my wit and make a comment every now and then. Well, yesterday, before the big race they had down there in Houston, there was a man come on. Apparently, he writes a blog or something and likes to think of himself as pretty influential. And he made a comment about, do you think that the new format, talking about NASCAR, will encourage more racing for position during the race? Well, this started I guess you could say a barnstorm, poo-poo storm, whatever you want to call it. But I said no. I said that if there are changes that you could make to the cars today that would promote more side-by-side racing, more passing, which is what the powers that be at NASCAR want. And there were changes that you could make and that you didn't have to bust it up into segments. The premise of NASCAR was to go 500 miles. That was a predetermined distance for years. And over the years, people have said, well, that's too long because the races are too boring. Well, that's because they've gotten all this aero push crap going, and they've changed the cars around so much, catering to the drivers, giving the drivers what they want, more downforce, more speed, and you don't have to have more speed to have good racing. You don't believe it? Look at Martinsville. You don't believe it? Look at some of the short tracks around your house. Look at some of your local dirt tracks. They don't get up over 100 miles an hour. Well, I mean, there's a few of them that do or get real close to it, but you don't have to have real high speeds to have good racing. Well, this conversation on Twitter carried on, and I made the comment that I felt that what I would really like to see, I said, I've talked to some of the legends in the sport, and I've talked to a couple of drivers. I ain't going to say I've talked to a bunch of them, but I've talked to a couple through connections. And off the record, nobody likes it. Nobody. Some of the legends of the sport that I talk to on a regular basis, not going to mention names, not going to try to get nobody in trouble or sway nobody's opinion, but nobody likes the segment breakdown of it. I said, I really wish we could get drivers who could tell their own honest-to-God opinion of it. And he says, well, all the drivers, he said, I've interviewed everybody except Brian France himself in NASCAR, and everybody loves it. I said, yeah, those comments were made due to NASCAR. And he asked me, he said, do you really believe that these comments were directed by NASCAR? I said, well, I'm not going to say that they're verbatim, word for word, but I will say that when a driver signs up for his NASCAR license, he signs a contract with NASCAR. That's what gives them the power to fine them. You look at Tony Stewart, he toted that $20,000 fine last year for speaking his mind. NASCAR uses these fines and as a punishment for speaking their mind, or as NASCAR puts it, comments detrimental to the sport of stock car racing. Well, that's not a comment that's detrimental to the racing. That's a comment that was detrimental to the idiots that run the show, as far as Tony was concerned. And my thing is, I would really like, they keep saying, have at it, boys. Robin Pemberton made that comment a few while back. Steve O'Dowd has said he likes the camaraderie and the conflict that some of the drivers have. He said it brings more excitement to the sport. Well, yeah, just like WWE, I mean, you look at professional wrestling, it's the same way. And NASCAR has implemented fines. They have guidelines that drivers are supposed to follow. Now, you take and you look at all the drivers who have made comments regarding the new format and the playoff system, and you look at their comments, every single one of them say almost verbatim the exact same thing. Every single one of them that has come out in support of it, they say the exact same thing. Oh, it's going to provide more passing. It's going to give us a chance to exercise some strategy. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, that why do all these guys say this exact same thing? Because that's what was in the stinking press release they got. Here is what you're supposed to think about our new sport. This is what we want it to do, and we want you to help us out, spread the word. So since these guys get their paychecks from NASCAR, guess who controls what is said? Do they have a clause that says you have to say exactly what we say? No, they don't. It's not that blatant. But if you really and truly believe that NASCAR don't control what these guys say, then, you've been living under a rock. I know a lot of guys who consider themselves NASCAR experts who will argue with me, and that's fine. Let them argue all they want to. Now, back to the point of whether or not this will improve side-by-side racing. The aero changes they made, like we talked about last week, yes, I agree. Taking away downforce, it's going to let these cars slip and slide. Yes, I believe we will see more side-by-side racing. Will there be more passes for the lead? Well, maybe. But the point system of handing out points in 3 different segments, why don't they just say, okay, we're going to be like dirt track racing and we're going to do heat races? Because that's what a segment is. It's just a heat race. They pay points in heat races. And that's what NASCAR is doing. They're doing a point system that they feel will improve the show. Well, you want to improve the show? Like I've said a million times, get them on some rock-hard tires, put a stock nose piece on it, go back to the actual body that they're running and not this template car, and put a 9-to-1 compression motor under the hood. Presto, you've got great racing. The 9-to-1 motor cuts the cost down. Yeah, there's going to be guys trying to push the boundaries, but with the team of lawyers that NASCAR has writing the rule books, how hard would it be to write a damn rule book for a 9-to-1 motor? No titanium. Got to use pre-approved parts. Put them all together, 9-to-1 compression. You bust 9-to-1 compression, you go home. They start hitting these guys, sending them home instead of fining them. That will change a lot of things too. But no, they keep going back to that premise. Well, Big Bill France said that he wanted the fans to know who the winner was when they left the racetrack. Well, if they keep going back to that, why don't they go back to what Big Bill France said originally? He wants guys to race. Let them go. Don't give a damn what they do before or after the race. Let them go. But see, NASCAR has tightened the reins, and they have got their fingers around these drivers' throats so tight, these drivers, they're riding a big paycheck. They're not going to open their mouth. I don't answer to nobody. I can say what I think. Now, if I had to answer to a whole slew of board members, yeah, I would probably curtail some of the comments that I make, because that would be my paycheck. But I don't. I speak my mind, and I wish they would let these drivers do that. Because from the look of Kevin Harvick's eyes, when he rolled his eyes when he was talking about the rules changes, that right there tells me he's not a fan. And you notice there's a lot of them that's not saying too much. They're all kind of keeping their mouth shut about it. But just all that started behind a Twitter feed, a Twitter comment or a tweet or whatever the hell it is. Not going to mention the guy's name. If you want to go look on my Twitter feed or page or whatever it is, you're more than welcome to. And you can see who it is for yourself, but I'm not going to give him the airtime and the recognition that he probably wanted. But he thinks he's a NASCAR expert. Well, he couldn't pour pee-pee out of a boot if the directions was wrote on the heel. Just another fair weather fan. Well, I tell you what, we're up against a commercial break, and we're going to step out, take a quick commercial, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Winter Showdown. And Kyle Busch, he's going to step down there and go racing. We'll talk about that just a little bit. And, sometimes drivers stepping down and just going racing. That's what they do. All right. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and you'll find us exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend.
My brother.
My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a Cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
It's the Monday Night Results Show, the internet radio show that gives you the results from your favorite racetracks. And that's it. If you're looking for a lot of happy talk and fluff, go watch NASCAR coverage on Fox TV. Now, here's the Doctor.
All right, welcome back. Now, there was, we were talking right before the break that there are going to be big race coming up out at Kern County Raceway in Bakersfield, California. The 3rd annual Winter's Showdown at the asphalt track out there. Now, Kern County Speedway is a raceway park. They have a dirt track, they have a motocross track, and they have an asphalt track. And it opened a couple of years ago and hosts a lot of the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series races. throughout the season, as well as the K&N Pro Series. In February this year, they're going to host the third annual SRL Winners Showdown. And it will be, let me see, get the third annual Winners Showdown at Kern County Raceway in Bakersfield on February the 10th and the 11th. The weekend's main event is Saturday, February the 11th, with a $30,000 to win. Spears Manufacturing Winners Showdown 250 for the super late models. The weekend will begin on Friday night, February the 10th, at the paved half mile with the 5150 energy drink opening night, featuring the Pinnacle Steakhouse Fast 12 and the Race for Autism qualifying races. Well, just so happens, Kyle Busch has announced that he will be going out there and entering the Winners Showdown with the number 51 Toyota Camry, sponsored by JBL. Kyle said they have a pretty strong field lined up this year, with Bubba Pollard coming back and trying to make it 3 in a row. And then you get some of the West Coast guys like Derek Thorne, David Mayhew, and Noah Gregson, Noah Gregson will be running one of Kyle Busch's trucks full time this year. And he said that the thing about it is that he's really looking forward to is this is going to be the first time that him and Eric Jones will get to run the supers together side by side since Eric Jones beat him in the Snowball Derby back in 2013. He said he has one goal for his first trip to Kern County, and that's to win. And that's Kyle Busch looking forward to seeing how that all shakes out there at Kern County. You know, we talked with Adam Manzella last year in the show, and he was talking about he had been doing a lot of work over there at Kern County and helping those guys out and getting their stuff going. So this is going to be another big showdown over there at Kern County. Also, another thing that I was kind of intrigued about, you know, I follow racing news. I don't just limit it to dirt, although that is my passion. That's what I live for. But, you know, there's some things that jump up and just kind of throw a red flag up, and you can't help but notice them. One of those was, you know, with the Dillon brothers, who are Richard Childress's grandsons, both of them moving to Cup this year. The number 2 Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series is going to be piloted by 3 drivers this year. Paul Menard and Austin Dillon have always done kind of double duty. You know, they'll get back in there with sponsorship from Menards and Ream, but they're bringing in another driver, Ben Kennedy. For those of you that don't know, Ben Kennedy is Lisa France Kennedy's son. He is the great-grandson of NASCAR founder Bill France. So this is Brian France's nephew. Imagine that. I wonder how much that had to do with Richard Childress bringing him into the fold at RCR. You know, when they closed up all their books and they quit talking about how much money the drivers made, they started the charter system and all that other crap. It kind of made you think, well, you know, what are they hiding? You know, transparency, that's what it's all about. What are they hiding? They don't release the attendance numbers anymore. And then you see things like this come up. You know, Kennedy, he made his debut in the Xfinity Series last year at Iowa with Richard Childress, qualified 6th and finished 10th. You know, he started out in Pro Series, the K&N Pro Series East. He run 3 seasons, won twice before stepping up to the Camping World Truck Series. He scored his first win last year with Red Horse at Bristol. and he finished 7th in the standings. And his mom is the CEO of International Speedway Corporation. Huh, interesting. But just a little bit of trivia there. Wonder how that works out. Speaking of ISC and NASCAR, it has been released that after the crash that happened during the Xfinity Series race in 2013, there was some lawsuits filed. Alan Davis sued NASCAR and Daytona's parent company, International Speedway Corporation, in November of 2015. The Florida man was sitting in the upper deck and, according to the lawsuit, was struck in the head by a heavy piece of debris and suffered a catastrophic and traumatic brain injury. They have reached a settlement. Now, this settlement, get this, here's the tricky part. This settlement, and by doing this, NASCAR was able to avoid having any of its drivers deposed and its crash and fencing report made public. Huh, imagine that, keeping something secret. Now, NASCAR, anytime there's a crash, NASCAR has 2 safety engineers, Tom Gidden and John Palatek. They do crash reconstruction to analyze what happened and look for ways to make things safer. And I commend these guys. You know, I mean, these 2 guys work very hard. They analyze all of the data that is available from the little black boxes that all the cars carry now, which are basically accelerometers, data loggers. They log the impact, the G-forces, you know, all that kind of stuff. And whenever there's a crash, these guys take this information, load it into a computer, analyze it, go over it, and see if there was any ways that things could be made better. Well, attorneys for NASCAR and the track filed notice Monday that the court, that's today, that the parties had settled. And Davis's attorney, Alan Davis, the man who was injured, Dan Araki, confirmed that the sides have agreed to a settlement with the terms remaining confidential. Imagine that. He said Davis suffered permanent brain damage and will need medical care for the remainder of his life. He is actively engaged with a rehab hospital, and he has a full-time health care advocate, and he is trying to make the best of this situation. This recovery is going to change Davis's life. It will help in making sure he is taken care of for the rest of his life. While there is video of the accident, NASCAR and the track have yet to make any of the crash analysis public. And that's the key thing right there. You know, it's like if you really want to promote safety, and if you really are serious about safety, that information should not be made proprietary. That information should be made available to everyone. Now, you know, we've had Gary McCullough with the Track Pro Safety Team, and speaking of which, they have one team that is locked in at Huntsville Speedway this year. They have another team that they are looking for a racetrack to use their team. So if you have a track, they have a team available. If you can't get a hold of Gary, get a hold of me, and I will put you in touch with Gary McCullough if you need one. But back to what I was saying. Everything that Gary McCullough, Jake Steele up at Kalamazoo Speedway, these guys do lots of testing. They have looked at different ways to extract drivers out of cars. Theirs is more from a driver standpoint, ways to make drivers safer and things that drivers can do as far as building the cars, the way the cars go together. Well, all the information that these guys find out, all the little tricks and nuances of the trade that they develop, every safety team I know shares information. They bend over backwards to get the information that they have to all the people that they can who want it. It's called helping keep the sport safe. Now, my thing with NASCAR is, if they've already reached a settlement, and I'm sure that there's about 352,000 different I's and T's that have to be dotted and crossed in that settlement. And I'm sure there's a confidentiality clause in there that they can't talk about it, can't discuss it. Well, now that that is a sealed and closed case, and with all this money riding on Mr. Allen's keeping his mouth shut, or Mr. Davis, Allen Davis is the guy's name, with all the money riding on him keeping his mouth shut, if he says anything, he loses his money. So he's going to keep his mouth shut. You ain't got to worry about that. But why would NASCAR go to this extreme to keep that report from being made public? Are they hiding something? Are they showing a chink in their armor? Is this something that they need to look at, or something they're going to address quietly? See, that's my thing. If you're really serious, because they went on and on and on. O'Donnell made all kinds of comments about NASCAR doing everything they can to make the racing as safe as possible for the drivers and the fans and all this crap. Well, if they're really serious about being safe, why are they going so far out of their way to keep this information from this crash report, this reconstruction that the two engineers, Gideon and Palatek, where they done the analysis of what happened? Why are they going to such extremes, paying all this money? I mean, the guy had the money coming, but I'm sure there's some hush money in there somewhere. Why pay all that money and then keep the information secret? What do they stand to gain from that? Or the correct question would be, what do they stand to lose by releasing the results? See, that's where transparency comes in real big. If you're transparent with everything, then nobody has to sit back and speculate and wonder. And if they were transparent with everything, then they wouldn't have the doctor sitting back going, hey, I'm calling you out on this. What do you got going on here? Why not release the information? And, of course, if you take it to social media and you call them out and you say, why not release the information? NASCAR's going to read it. They're going to see it. They got teams of people that do nothing but go around and read everything that's got a NASCAR hashtag on it. They're going to look at all those comments, and they're just going to quietly ignore it because they want it to just go away. And as soon as Daytona kicks off and somebody wins the Daytona 500, then it will go away. It will be gone. Nobody will bring it up again until something else happens. But see, that's my thing. They spend this money, pay these two engineers all this money, all this computer equipment and data logging equipment and everything. They have all this equipment to analyze and reconstruct these events. Why not make that information public? Number one, it would show that NASCAR is going the extra mile to do all they can to keep their drivers safe and the fans and the everybody involved. And it would show the amount of money they're willing to spend to do that. And they're saying, hey, look, here's what we can do with the equipment we have. This is the kind of data that we can acquire and analyze and reconstruct these events. Look for what went wrong. In this instance right here, this particular bolt, such and such bolt, it broke, causing this to fall over and hit this guy in the head. Well, to remedy that problem, we're going to put a bigger bolt in there, or we're going to put two bolts in there. It's being proactive instead of reactive. And when NASCAR switched from being proactive to being reactive, to where they're not going to say nothing. They're just going to keep their mouth shut. That's when they started losing a lot of their credibility. But, that's a personal opinion. And, opinions are kind of like that various part of your anatomy that everyone has and they all stink. But I think if you like to think about things, give that some thought. I think you'll be surprised at what you come up with. And, Google is your friend. Google can find things for you. Go back and look, see if you've ever seen any of their reconstructions, the analysis of any of their reconstructions made public. You won't, because they're hiding it. They don't want nobody to see it. They're like it's proprietary information, and it's not. It shouldn't be, but it is. It's NASCAR, so it is what it is. All right, we're going to step out and take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, let's see, what do we got going on? We got a couple of things going on. We're going to talk about a couple of other little things, so don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and you'll find me exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Racing is all about winning. But hey, the second place guy has family too, getting you all the results from your favorite racetracks. Now back to the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor.
All right, welcome back. You know, I was checking my Twitter feed, and I was looking, and I got a follower or two now. Adam Alexander, who is big with Fox Sports, someone asked him, they said, Adam Alexander, what are the odds a race winner finishes outside the top 30 and fails to make the playoff with the new format? Adam Alexander's response, no more likely than in the past. In my opinion, I find it highly unlikely a driver will win and finish outside the top 30 unless it's injury. Now, they haven't even run these the first time. But boy, they got a lot of speculation going on. And, speaking of Fox, they have they're doing Race Hub this week, and they've got these roundtable discussions. Tonight, they had Richard Petty, Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Bobby Labonte, and Jeff Gordon. With the exception of Richard Petty, that's all NASCAR yes boys. Tomorrow, they have the youth movement. They'll have Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, and Ty Dillon. There's a couple in there that might actually speak their mind. Ty Dillon and Kyle Larson. I think those two might actually speak their mind. Wednesday, they have the crew chief roundtable. Larry McReynolds, Jeff Hammond, and Andy Petrie. Can you say NASCAR yes boys again? Yep, that's right. All right. Now, I know I'm getting off on a tangent here. Volusia Speedway Park, which has went through some turmoil because they are owned by World Racing Organization, Dirt Car Racing, announced today that John Allen has taken over as the weekly operations promoter for Volusia Speedway Park in advance of the 2017 season. Weekly racing will commence on March 12th and run through the first week of December. Allen is no stranger. He spent many of his nights there with his dad in the 70s, and over the last 3 seasons, he has sponsored the track with his successful business, Allen Plumbing. He has aspirations with the Speedway, including rebuilding the track's prominence in Central Florida and putting fans back in the seats. Now, any racetrack in the country will tell you that is paramount, getting fans back in the seats. Often referred to as the world's fastest half mile, which leaves a little bit to be desired, but, we ain't going to go there. To have it back racing on a weekly basis is huge. Mr. Allen said, "For me, the Speedway is my joy, to bring all these drivers and fans together on a weekly basis. A lot of people coming out of the woodwork to help me, which is huge. We try to help out the local community and just bring everyone together. I get joy out of giving people somewhere to go on a Saturday night." So they are going to be hosting the Dirt Car Nationals. The annual race kicks off the 2017 season for the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaw Craftsman Late Model Series, the Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds, the Dirt Car Late Models, the Dirt Car Ump Modifieds, and the All-Star Circuit. Weekly racing will soon begin after the Nationals and after the All-Star Flat Track Series on the 12th. So they have got a big list of events lined up. May 19th and 20th, it'll be Ironman weekend with a $10,000 to win Thunderstock. The Powell Memorial on June 3rd is a $5,000 to win late model race. 4th of July celebration. Where'd it go? Beginning on July the 2nd, featuring a number of big dollar races, including $2,500 for the modifieds, $2,000 to win for the hobby stocks, $1,500 to win of the Thunder stocks, and $500 for the gladiators. The annual Fall Brawl on October 28th will be the final points race of the season. And then the weekly campaign will come to a close on December the 2nd. If you want more information, you can check out VolusiaSpeedwayPark.com. So a lot of things going on down there at Volusia. The World of Outlaws. They are going to be kicking off this year, and some of the drivers that are picked to be contenders, one of them is Shane Clanton. Clanton placed second last year, and after he got knocked off, he turned around and pointed at him, at the new champion, and said, "I'm coming for you next season." So you got Shane Clanton in his capital car. Billy Moyer Jr., he's going to be full-time. Rick Eckert Brandon Shepard is going to be in the number 1 Mark Richards Rocket House car. Chris Madden, local racer around this area who has really, really stepped up his program. Tried 2 or 3 different chassis there towards the end of the year last year. He's committed to bringing on the 44 car, and he is going to try to get out there and run with the big boys. So he's going to be one. Then you've got Brandon Overton, who takes over for Randy Weaver. If he can get his team going and he gets out there, he may be a contender. Steve Casebolt, Tyler Erb, Devin Moran, all these guys are serious contenders. But Shane Clanton, Rick Eshelman, who's my buddy, he's the new World of Outlaws Craftsman late model announcer. He said, everybody obviously has a chance, but Shane Clanton is a champion. Rick Eckert is a champion. So they know what it takes. Then you've got Chris Madden. He is a champion on many regional aspects. So for him to go for the World of Outlaws title is going to make it tough. All of the guys that ran it last year, like Frank Heckencast Jr., Billy Moyer Jr., rookies Devin Moran and Donald Bradshaw, all of them are going to have a say in what happens in November at the World Finals. I think this is going to be a different winner every night, and the points are just going to be wild all year long. It ought to be one of the best points races since 2005 when Billy Moyer and Steve Francis tied for the points, and Moyer won it on a tiebreaker. So there's Rick Eshelman's take on what's going to be happening in the World of Outlaws Craftsman late models coming up this season. Now, let me see. East Bay is going to be hosting Winter Nationals for the Lucas Oil Dirt late models. They will invade down there on the 12th at East Bay for the 41st annual Risco Industries Winter Nationals, February 13th through the 18th. A lot of drivers are scheduled to show up down there. They've got everything all locked down, sponsorship-wise, E3 spark plugs, all the different people who are promoting that and letting that get in there. But if you want to check them out, you can check out East Bay Raceway Park. They will give you all the information, all the details on what's going on. They have, this is kind of interesting, must use the same set of 4 tires for time trials, heat races, and B main. For the feature, competitors may use 2 new rear tires of their choice. No cutting or siping of any rear tire, of any right rear tire. So that's pretty interesting. I kind of like that. And then a lot with the new, some of the new safety rules that they are putting into place. It's all going to be pretty interesting. I really like the safety rules. A lot of people are bitching about the onboard fire systems and all that. Well, you know, that's the nature of the beast. It protects the driver. Now, them locking in one particular manufacturer, I would like to see them open that up a little bit along with the fuel cells. They're saying that that's the only one that's certified. Well, you know, you get into that certified crap. And that just means that when it says certified, it means that they have lawyers involved. And for them to certify something, that's it just means they got too many lawyers involved. But that's for the Lucas Series. That will be at East Bay. The World of Outlaws run Golden Isle. They will be stepping into Golden Isle. Oh, let me see. 10th and 11th, I believe it is, of February. Oh, local hot shoe out of Ringgold, Georgia. Jamie Perry sticks his Powell Motorsports entry into his first ever Neesmith Chevrolet Dirt Late Model Series win on night 2 of the Bubba Army Winter Nationals at Bubba Raceway Park last week. Took over on lap 19 and never looked back. He is Jamie Peary has been around this area for quite some time. Started out in hobby cars and slowly worked his way up, and to go to Florida and jump in with the big boys in the 525 series and put it on them down there and bring home the big check. Congratulations to him on his win down at the Bubba Army Winter Nationals at Bubba Raceway Park. And for those of you who don't know, Bubba is Bubba the Love Sponge from, I forget the name of the radio show. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, he is kind of went a different direction. He don't do live radio anymore. He is he just promoting the racetrack and got his son down there, Tyler Clem. He is racing. He has slowly been moving his way up, stepping into the sprint cars and doing a dirt late model here and there. There's a lot of drivers who are headed towards Florida. I know Tony Stewart has got his Arctic Cat sprint car headed. He's already down there. He is going to be doing some hot laps and some racing down there, along with Shots and all them other guys that run with that series. Now, let me get back over here to my... Oh, yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention. We're going to be getting Chuck Becker on next segment, but one other thing I wanted to get before I get Chuck in here. The Greater Cumberland Raceway in Cumberland, Maryland, will be bringing back racing to the historic facility in April. With help from members of the great community volunteering their time and money, racing will return to Allegheny County Fairgrounds for the first time in nearly 3 years. Bake sales, spaghetti dinners, started by a small group of people to raise money, backed the hard-fought determination, has now blossomed into a full-force effort to return racing to the scenic fairgrounds. The history speaks for itself, with the likes of Mario Andretti and our buddy Tiger Tom Pistone gracing victory lane at this famous raceway. Things are falling into place nicely as the fairgrounds, with opening day fast approaching in April. The Greater Cumberland Raceway. Currently, they have more than a dozen nights of racings planned, plus a couple of car shows and a play day. Divisions and all that will be part of the various programs include super late model sportsmen, semi-late models, pure stocks, and 4-cylinders. If you want more information, the Greater Cumberland Raceway, CumberlandRaceway.com. You can go check them out. They got all the information that you need right there. But seeing another racetrack coming back after being shut down for a while, 3 years, that's great, and love seeing racetracks come back after being closed. Now, if we could just get some of the others to open back up, maybe with things turning around in the economy, we will see that. I look forward to it. I know that a lot of racetracks are running a limited schedule simply because they don't have the money to run weekly. There's a lot of different options for racers these days, and I know North Georgia's only running 8 events. Boyd's is running 17, but Boyd's has also said that they will be considering looking at opening some other dates up if the interest is there. So, it's the ability to get programs in and get fans in the seats. So if you live in an area where racing is sporadic, go out and support every chance you get, because without that support, racetracks are going to start drying up and they'll be closing instead of opening. And then you'll have to go back and do like they done up at Cleveland a couple of years ago. I mean, Cleveland was sold on the courthouse steps at auction, sold out of bankruptcy. And, you know, we don't want to see that at any more racetracks. Seeing the heartbreak that caused, and now Cleveland's sitting vacant again, it sucks. We want to see racing. We want to see racing 3 and 4 and 5 nights a week if we could find it. But finding the money to sponsor that and to make that happen is a whole nother ball game. But it's not going to happen right now. We just got to take what we can get and give it the best we can. All right, we're going to step out and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have the Paris Speedway's IMCA Modified Champion, Mr. Chuck Becker, join us. So don't go nowhere. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the doctor, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, recording artists against drunk driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more, but the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
You're listening to the Monday Night Results Show. Back-to-back results, and that's it. You want half-naked girls, singing, and sound effects? Go watch American Idol. Now, here's the doctor.
All right, welcome back. It is the Monday Night Results Show. And because we want to jump right straight in here, joining me right now, the man from out there on the West Coast, Mr. Chuck Becker. Chuck, how are we doing tonight, buddy?
We're fantastic tonight. How about yourself?
Man, I'm finding a frog hair split 3 ways and sanded. Now, let me kind of. I'm sorry.
I heard Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, Bubba. He's big on some of the. I can't remember the. My producer should be typing my message in here and telling me what radio station or what radio show is. The Brett and Henry show. Oh, I forget what it is. It's rock and roll. I don't listen to him. But he's real big on the West Coast. He used to be as one of their call-in guests on a regular basis. And he kind of got in some trouble some of the comments he made on the air, and they kind of kicked him to the curb. And so he started promoting racetracks, and he's been doing pretty good with it. I mean, he's down there in Florida and has Bubba Raceway Park, and he's got it going on down there. He's got a hell of a gig going. But one of the things that I want to set the stage here on how we got Chuck on. There was a comment made. All us announcers, we all stick together. We may be scattered across the country, but we like to stay in touch with each other and swap ideas and help each other out when we can and what have you. And the other day, Scott DeLassio, who's the announcer at Paris, he posted on Facebook that he needed drivers to get their information to him. Now, you know, us announcers, we got a lot of stuff going on. And before a race, the last thing we want to have to do is go chase a driver down and then sit there and write down all of his sponsors' names. Because sure as the world, if we go write them down, when we call them off, the driver's going to come back around and go, hey, you forgot one of my sponsors. Well, sorry, buddy, but if you would have put it on the list and got it to me, I wouldn't be forgetting them. But there was a comment made that Scott was having problems getting drivers to get him the information. And I said, yeah, we suffer the same problem here. This young man popped in there in a comment, and I loved it because he says, well, I have no problems getting, and he named off every one of his sponsors and got all of them squeezed in there. He said, they help me get my modified to the track every week. And I said, I love it. I got to get this guy on my show. And through a couple of conversations, presto, next thing you know, and here we are. Now, Chuck, tell us, how did you learn to get all your sponsors in there like that? I mean, was that something that you just kind of copied, or something that you actually understood how this works?
Believe it or not, when I was younger, I understood it, but I didn't like to do it. Well, as I'm getting a little bit older and hopefully a little smarter, without sponsors or people that advertise on your car or fans in the stands or any of that, we don't have racing. And it's as simple as that. And the lower budget teams, you know, depending on what you consider lower budget or any of that, they count on those sponsors, no matter if it's $100 to get you in the pit gate, $50 to help you with fuel for the race car, product to put in your race car, or whether it's oil or filters or anything else. All that stuff adds up, and without that stuff, the price goes right through the roof, and I don't get to do what I do.
Well, you know, Scott, my first sponsor was Vortex Industries, a door company in California that I used to work for. I wanted to go up to Santa Maria to a race up there, and I said, man, that's a long way. I got to tow across the Grapevine. That's probably going to take me $150 in gas. And the owner of the company says, well, how much do you need to go up there? I said, well, I need gas to get up there. I said, I got everything else. He said, well, here, take the company credit card, and if you can get it on the credit card, go ahead and get it. And we had Mobile was our company credit card. And I first thought in my mind was Mobile One. Oh, yeah, we getting ready to go synthetic, baby. And he footed the bill for 6 years. And that was his contribution. You know, was if I put gas in my tow rig, any oils, any filters, anything, if I could get it on the Mobile credit card, he let me get it and never said a word. And so we hung the Vortex Express on the race car the last couple of years we run. Then I had a Wendy's, a guy that owned a Wendy's franchise. He says, well, I ain't got no money. He says, but I'll tell you what, you bring your crew by here on Saturday nights on your way to the racetrack and I'll feed them. And it's like, really? Have you seen the bunch that I take to the racetrack? These guys put some stuff away. We go in there, the man would say, here, just whatever these guys want, feed them. And we hung big Wendy's sign on the car. You know, every little sponsor helps. I mean, you don't have to have a major contract and do guest appearances and all this. but every little bit helps when you're pinching pennies, don't it, Chuck?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you consider if you've got 6 different sponsors and you say they're $50 each, that's $300. And roughly, if you don't have any problems and you run a racetrack that's say 30 miles from your house or so, it's anywhere from $300 to $500 per race to tow there and race with pit passes and fuel and tires and whatever it is. That's just if you don't have any problems and tear stuff up. So that stuff, it's huge.
Now, this has been a couple of years ago. I may be wrong on the name. I'm pretty sure I'm right though. There was a sprint car driver that showed up at Ascot one night, and he had probably 70 names on his car. It was all little bitty square. I want to say it was Mike Kirby. But it was when he first started, and he said, I was taking any sponsor I could get, $10, $20. I didn't care. He said, if you give me $50, he said, you got a big square. But, I mean, you couldn't see them from the grandstands. It just looked like kind of some writing on there. You couldn't read it. But if you got up close to it, there was more names on this car. And Ascot used to open the pit gate and let the fans come down and meet the drivers after the races. And Mike Kirby, I mean, he wasn't a winning driver at that time. It's when he was just starting out, still flying his rookie flag. He probably had more people in his pits than any 2 other drivers, because all these people that were helping him out were wanting to get their picture taken with the car. And that's what it's all about, is getting your sponsors, no matter how big or small they are, but giving them a good representation, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And Mike Kirby's came a long way. He's pretty fast now. We go against him all the time.
Yeah,
I do not doubt that, because. Oh, go ahead.
It's funny you see these guys, that I remember when they first started, and you see them, and then I was talking with Chris Holt here a while back, and he was talking about a racers reunion, and he starts talking about, we're getting a lot of these older drivers out here coming to help us out, and he says John Redican and Bob Mealy, and he starts going through all these names. I'm like, old drivers? Hell, I remember watching them just couple of years ago. Well, that was 25 years ago, and it's like time kind of has a way of slipping away,
It does. You remember the young man named Ricky Gaunt? Well, he just retired this past year, so he can do some stuff with his kids in the off-road series.
And
I remember when he started.
Exactly. And to think that these are the guys that they're retiring now. And, I look back and I remember when they started, and it's like, man, it just seems like just yesterday.
I remember starting with them. So if that tells you anywhere where I'm at, the fun part is that some of these kids are really, really fast. There's some real fast kids. And you kind of got to either beat them with attrition or hope they make a mistake somewhere. And, and I guess that comes with experience, but man, these kids, they just don't care. They go.
Well, one thing that I've got a kick out of, now me being in Georgia, it's kind of hard for me to follow a lot of the racing that goes on out there on the West Coast, but every now and then I get a chance to see some videos from Loud Pedal Productions and some of the other guys. But the one thing I've noticed, Rip Williams, who was a long-time sprint car guru back in the day, he's got, 3 of his kids running now?
Yes.
And, it's funny because you see the same sponsors on his kids' cars that was on his cars.
Yes. The John Jory Corp and Persol Masonry are on all 3 of the cars. And all the cars look exactly the same.
And it's cool to see that the apple didn't fall far from the tree on those 3.
No, but you couldn't meet 3 different kids if you had to. Austin is a little more on the wild side as far as, and then the other 2 are more quiet like Rip, because if you get 10 words out of Rip in a conversation, it's a good day.
Yeah, he was never a big conversationalist.
No.
It's funny though. Yeah, it's funny. You look at some of the drivers and you watch them come up and you listen to them talk and you see them on old videos and stuff. It's fun to go back and look at that. But now let's quit talking about the antiques like me. Let's step in and talk a little bit about Chuck Becker. Chuck, tell us how you got started in this.
Well, it's kind of like a family thing because it started with my grandpa sometime in the mid-40s. I don't know. I wasn't around yet. And then I've got two uncles and my dad all raced. And they had pretty good careers, especially my dad and my Uncle Rick in their own right. In fact, my dad won the very first stock car portion of the Western World Championship at Manzanita in 1976. And so it kind of just came along as soon as I was old enough, I wanted to start racing. Well, I got the hard line to it. It's like, okay, if you want to race, this is what you got to do. I'm not going to do it for you. I'll help you the best I can, but go at it. Okay. Well, so that's been kind of hit and miss throughout the years, but there's always been that little shadow over me that you got to do better. You got to do better. You got to do better. And the pressure that I would put on myself sometimes forced me to walk away from it. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it never seemed like I was doing good enough in my own mind. And then, when I would stick with it, it's like you win races, you win championships. Heck, this last year I didn't win any races and I won a championship, which is kind of weird. But it's as I look back on it, it's more of an accomplishment, and it makes me feel pretty good about it because I do know how to work on the cars myself when I need to. I do know pretty much my way around and on the cars and stuff. But the crazy thing is, the last 2 years I've been driving a 4-bar modified, and that is completely backwards and different from anything I've ever raced in my life. So whatever I first started, when I'd want to make a chassis decision on the car, I'd think, okay, this is what I want to do. So I would do the exact opposite, and that's what seemed to work.
Hey, if it works, go with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning.
Well, it's a learning curve that everyone has to go through. And as you follow the technology of race cars and designs and different suspension setups, they all evolve and they're constantly evolving. But now you mentioned that your dad, Rick, now did you find, and I've asked this to every guest that I've ever had who has had a parent who's been involved with it, do you find that racing brought you guys together as father and son?
Well, Rick is my uncle. My dad was Chuck Jr.
Okay.
It yes and no. There's some aspects of it that drove us apart because if we got to a racetrack, I couldn't stand to get beat by them. Absolutely hated it by any of my relatives. Didn't want it, couldn't stand it, wasn't going to have it. If it happened, I couldn't wait to get back to the racetrack because that wasn't going to happen again. And that's how I kind of learned that you don't win races so much at the racetrack as you do over the course of the week, working on your car, getting it ready, making it right. And that's where you got to have, some of these sponsors and some of the, help, whether it's crew members or whatever. And that's where some of the money comes in, is because if you got a guy giving everything he's got, to try to help you, and he's given his hours after he's worked a full day at work, you want to be able to feed him. You want to, have drinks in the trailer for him. You want to be able to pay his way in, stuff like that. And it's amazing.
There is a lot of people who sit in the grandstands week after week after week. I have a picture of one of them in my mind right now. His name is Otis. I don't think I've ever been to a race in this area that Otis wasn't at. Otis is probably, I'm going to guess and say he's in his late 70s, and he can sit and rattle off names of drivers from back in the 40s and 50s. And I talked to Otis one day, and I said, Otis, have you ever thought about getting out there and getting in a race car? He said, when I was younger, he said, I thought about it. He said, I even went as far as to buy one. He said, I bought it and I set it in the garage. He said, and we started working on it. He said, we worked on that thing for 3 years. He said, and I just never could get up the nerve to pull the helmet on and crawl in the seat. He said, I realized that I liked it better sitting up here, and it was a whole lot cheaper.
That is not a joke. You know, it's funny that about that too is because, you know, you get these people in the stands, or whether it be, you know, I heard you talking earlier about NASCAR, dirt racing, whatever, but I have a second job, and it's only a part-time job, but it's like the greatest job in the history of the world for me. I drive for the Rusty Wallace Race Experience or the Kenny Wallace Race Experience, whether it be for asphalt or dirt. And you get to go give people a good time, kind of give them the basics, show them what what it's all about. But the funny thing is I was doing it this past Saturday at California Speedway Auto Club, and there was some women there. I had one young lady, I think she was 14 years old, all the way up to guys, and there was a gentleman that was up to, I think he was 90. But you find that the women are there, and they're having a good time with it, no fear whatsoever, or at least they don't show it. But some of these guys, it's like when they finally strap in or they put a helmet on and they're sitting in there and they're getting ready, their eyes get real big, they get real fearful, and you got to calm them down. It was hilarious to me because you know that they're the guys that sit in the stands that watch the cars and they say, oh, I could do that. That's not a big thing. Anybody can do that.
They kind of get that Darrell Waltrip mentality, huh?
Yes, they do. And it's really funny to listen. You know, I mean, everybody can do it watching. Heck, I'd probably be really good at it if I was in the stands watching. But
I still love that video of Darrell Waltrip and Tony Stewart going around Eldora in the dirt car, and Darrell Waltrip screaming like a little girl.
Yes, I don't know that I could sit in the passenger side and let somebody else drive me around a racetrack. I don't know that I could do it.
Well, it would be tough. I can tell you. Tell you what, Chuck, hold tight. We're going to step out, take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your other job a little bit. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and my special guest, Mr. Chuck Becker, exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsport. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
You're listening to the Monday Night Results Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Racing information at its best. And now back to the Doctor of Statistics.
All right, welcome back. With us on the show right now is Mr. Chuck Becker. Now, Chuck, you were talking about your second job and how much fun it is doing stuff for the Rusty Wallace and the Kenny Wallace driving experience. Now, you know, I know that you get to run the full gamut, like you said, of girls from 14 to men of 90. When you look back at this, do you have one person who really stands out in your mind that you have given a ride to?
Yeah, actually two. Well, maybe three. I gave my mom a ride probably 3 months ago, and that was out at Paris in a modified. And when she hasn't quit giggling about it yet, and she's asking when's the next one, because I want, she wants to go there. Her name's Rose, so everybody calls her Grandma Rose. And then my girlfriend Eileen, she still giggles about it. When's the next one? And it's just a good time. And what I keep hearing from them is, I can't believe how fast the wall was coming up and how close we were getting to it. And I laugh back and say, I can drive a car on the outside of where we were at because there was cones and we didn't hit those cones. And so I get a pretty good kick out of it because they didn't realize just how fast or what kind of a adrenaline rush it really is until they sat in the car.
I think that's probably one of the. I remember they had a two-seater at North Georgia a couple of years ago, and one of the local drivers, Johnny Kluwer, probably one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Really, really quiet, never talks, but once he straps that helmet on, he is a wheelman. He was Clint Smith's crew chief for about 4 years, and learned the trade out in baptism by fire, racing with Clint Smith. But he got the two-seater out, and he took his mom for a ride. Now, his mom had watched his dad race for years. She had watched Johnny race for years, and they got her in the car. This was after the races. Everybody had already pretty much left, and this is no lie. You could hear her screaming over the motor.
That's actually cool.
Chuck, when she got out, I said, Miss Becky, how did you like that? She said, oh my God, that was so much fun. I said, well, why were you screaming? She said, I wasn't screaming. I said, you were. She said, no, I wasn't. She was having so much fun, she didn't even realize she was screaming her head off.
I actually had a couple of reactions because in the particular car that I take them for rides for, there's actually a dummy steering wheel on the right side. And I could glance over, and I was watching my mom trying to drive the car with where we were going and stuff. And then when we actually pulled in the pits, her first words were, I got to get me one of these.
Now, you talked about having a man 90 years old ride with you. We have a racer who has been a guest on my show before. His name is Tom Darby. He races down at Woodstock or Dixie Speedway in Woodstock, Georgia. He is 86 or 87 years old, and he's still racing. And I asked him one time, I said, Tom, how long have you been racing? He said, well, Doc, he said, let's just say I've been practicing for 47 years.
It's funny you mentioned that because I got to thinking about how many different decades that I've raced in. And I raced my first race in 79, so I'm doing, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010. So that's 5 decades. That sounds really bad.
It does,
And then you
don't
think
it?
about a guy named Herschel McGriff or somebody like that who's raced in 8 or 9 different decades. Heck, I don't know if he might still be racing.
You know, it's funny because you see these guys that they get out there. Now, one of my guests that's on my show regularly, Bill Blair, his dad won one of the beach races at Daytona. Bill he was an engine builder for Richard Childress for a number of years. He's been involved in racing his entire life. Bill has got a flathead Ford, a 40 Ford, that he races Nostalgia with, the Nostalgia divisions. And I have watched some of his in-car camera. And I'll tell you what, to be Bill's age, and he's on up there north of 70 years old, for him to get out there and still run just as hard as he can each and every week, it's refreshing to know that, you know, I might still have a second career driving a race car again.
Yeah, you won't know till you get back out there, but there's no reason not to.
I just think it's great, you know, that we have people that at that age still have that burning desire to get out there and go racing. And then you look at some of the young guns that are coming up. We've got a couple of them around here that are 13, 14 years old, wheeling dirt late models around and doing an awesome job at it. And, you know, to think, you know, man, they're out there racing with guys 40 years older than they are. And it don't faze them a bit. They get out there and bring it just like anybody does.
Well, you know, I have mixed emotions on that. Okay, and I understand you got to have the youth coming up and doing their thing and stuff. But my question is to the 13 or 14-year-old that's racing and doing that. Well, first of all, for the most part, they haven't really crashed, so they don't know what that pain feels like, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. But where are they getting the money for it? Which is their parents, obviously, and are their parents taking the time to make them work on the cars? And that's the part where I really, really have a hard time and struggle with it. If a guy can be the best wheelman ever, and if he doesn't know how to work on his car, the majority of racers don't have respect for him.
I agree. And you know, you must have listened to my show last year. They had a 13-year-old, Carter Monroe. He was 12 years old last year, and he won a late model division championship in West Virginia at his home track. And I brought that very same point up. I said, you know, I understand kids wanting to race, and I got no problems with that. And I got no problems with it with a parent who has the money, who wants to spend the money to let their child chase their dream. I'm okay with that. But if they're doing it to relive their own childhood, you know, if they're living vicariously through their child, that I have a problem with. And if they're not making the kid earn their seat, you know, don't just buy your way up the ladder, make them earn the seat. And when you start out in super late models at 12 and 13, there's no way you could have paid your dues and worked your way up.
No. I you know, it's funny, we're talking about this, and a gentleman that builds my racing engines and actually helps me a lot, his name is Randy Thornell, and he's a really good modified driver. Well, he can drive anything, and he's been racing for a long time. He has a son named Blake. Blake is 16. He's been racing the modifieds for a couple years now. Before that, he raced go-karts. But the deal they have is it's pretty amazing. If Blake doesn't go out and if he's not in the garage every night working on things with Randy and taking care of the car, working on it, and knowing everything about it, when it comes Saturday, they don't go to the racetrack. And that's just the way it is. There's no in-between. There's no, well, I got homework. When Randy's at work, Blake has to do his homework before Randy gets home and be ready to go out there when it comes time, as well as maintaining a B average in school.
Now, you know, there's a young man who races on the West Coast. His name's Chaz Baca.
Yes, he races with us quite frequently.
That young man has been on my show before, and I asked him about that. I said, well, how do you mix schoolwork and racing? He said, well, it's real easy. I either maintain an A average or I don't race.
Yes. You won't meet a nicer kid either. He's a good kid, but he can drive too. There's no question about that.
You know, it's good when you see guys like, and we've got one here, Cruz Skinner. He's another one. His dad has a big business, got plenty of money. They got the big motor home, the toter home, the whole 9 yards. But Cruz knows how to work on his car. And Cruz is not too good to get out there and get dirty with the rest of them. And I think that's the important part. Like you said, you know, if you don't know how to work on your car, I personally don't feel that you can drive it.
No. I couldn't agree more.
There's just too many things out there that you know, how if you got a race car and you're running off in the corner and you think you got to push or you feel the car's doing a little something, hey, if you don't know how that suspension works and how the geometry relates to handling, how are you going to explain that when you get back in to go start making changes? So, you know, you've got to understand it.
Or what changes do I make, or where's the car doing this particular thing at, or how do we make it do, you know, the car wants to spin out going into the corner, or the car wants to spin out coming off. Well, that's because the car's too tight going in. Free it up going in, and the car will be better coming off. Well, that doesn't make sense. Yes, it does. Now you just got to learn how to do it.
Yep, that's right. Well, now, Chuck, I know that you've got probably a slew of sponsors that have helped you on your car, because if I remember right, that list of sponsors you posted on Facebook the other night was a line or two long. Let's get all them in here. Who is it that helps you make this racing for you possible?
Actually, I've got a former professional baseball player. It's been a lifelong friend of mine. His name is Jeff Grotwald. He owns a place called Carpet Station. He helps me with fuel to and from just about every race. Then there's another lifelong friend that owns a trucking company, the Huss family, with Dean Huss Jr., also a racer. He helps me with fuel, pit passes, a tire, whatever. Lucas Oil, it's not a money sponsor, but then again it is, because I don't ever have to buy any of my oil products at all. They just take care of it. K&N Filters, oil filters, air filters, the oil breathers, all that stuff. There it is. Edmore Driveline. With these cars, they twist drivelines really hard, so upkeep on them is really important. If I just take it in for service and stuff, they just keep fixing it or going through it, making sure it's right. Here you go. Doesn't cost me anything. A huge one is actually PRE 2.0, which is Shelly Sigmund Woolridge, and she started Professional Racers Emporium and just did the Western States Auto Expo a couple weeks, or last weekend actually. I get a pretty good deal on tires and fuel and whatever parts I need. I just let her know what I need, and she takes care of getting it, so I don't got to worry about ordering it or anything. Randy Thornell Racing Engines. I can't say enough good things about Randy Thornell. Whether it's engines, chassis, whatever, I can ask him, and he will give me the very best answer, that he knows. Justin Miller with A1 Impressions. He takes care of all of our numbers, wraps, making sure that the cars look good. It's a cost of material type thing. If I bend shocks, brake shocks, or whatever, I send them to Nebraska to a gentleman named Mike Goldfuss Shocks. And I don't even know how to tell you how much better my car runs handles since I started using his shocks. Lauren Hill is probably as important as anybody, because he works at DJ Safety Equipment. And when I don't have the right stuff for safety and stuff, I hear about it. Boy, do I hear about it.
That's right.
And then there's a whole slew of Randy Marshall, all of my nuts and bolts and everything. He's a friend of mine. Whatever nuts and bolts we need, he keeps the bin stocked. Then all the people that put in all the hours and stuff and help me the very best they can. CJ and Sally Evans. CJ is amazing with building bodies. He can fabricate anything. And then also another guy that can fabricate that always goes with me to the races, Ray Estrada. It's priceless what these guys do for me. I can't say thank you enough to them. My mom didn't go to a lot of my racing over my career. Now she doesn't miss it. and she really likes Ventura because she likes to walk on the beach beforehand. Eileen is actually pretty funny because she tries so hard to do some things, and she gets frustrated if she messes it up. And I keep telling her, it's okay. That's what learning's about. We were setting the toe one night on the car, and I kept readjusting it, and I had the toe plates up, and it kept coming out wrong. And I'm like, what is going on here? And then I looked at what she had going on the other side, and the bottom of the toe plate wasn't up against the tire. I was like, oh. Well, she was upset with herself about that. I'm like, no, you don't understand. My fault. I didn't explain to you what I needed. Jeremy Queener, he goes with me when he can. He works for iBox Springs now. He goes with me whenever he can, and he does his own racing too. So that's sometimes, but when he's there, he's a tremendous help. Then I got Dave and Donna Clark. Dave is the 2015 Paris champion, and he's been helping me a lot just learning how to drive these cars. So, all these people are just so important, and none of them more than the other, but without them, racing is just, okay, let's find something else to do.
Well, you mentioned Carpet Station. Does he sell carpet?
He sells carpet. He sells all flooring, tile, wood, any kind of flooring you could possibly imagine.
Well, then he ought to know my hometown very well. I'm from Dalton, Georgia. That's the carpet capital of the world.
He actually played baseball for the Philadelphia Phillies and then for the Kansas City Royals.
That's pretty cool. Baseball player getting involved. I like that.
That's just.
You mentioned the Carpet Station. That just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, man, we're getting ready to roll out of here. Man, I want to appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on and sitting in with us and talking racing. It's been a ton of fun. And, man, you got an open door to the show. Anytime you got something you want to get out there or you want to give special thanks to one of your sponsors, you just let me know and we'll make it happen.
I greatly appreciate it. And anytime you need me, or if you just need somebody to come on and just BS with for a while, by all means, call me. I'm right here for you.
All right, Chuck, I appreciate it so much. Chuck Becker, your 2016 Paris IMCA Modified Champion. Thank you so much, Chuck. Have a good season, man. All right. That wraps up that, man. I tell you what, that was fun because Chuck knows a lot of the same people I do and from back in the day. And him and I talked last night on the phone for, quite some time. And it was almost hated to hang up. We were just sitting there shooting the breeze. It was a lot of fun and great guy, and looking forward to him coming back on. We'll get him back on again. He's a lot of fun. All right, we're going to step out, take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the upcoming events and some of the things that's going on right around here. It's the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and you'll find us exclusively right here on a Performance Motorsports Network.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas. 1 in 300 million. The odds of a daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland, spending 11 weeks at #1 on the U.S. singles charts. 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 7 Grammy Awards. 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records? 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Eric Darnell.
This is David Reagan. Jamie McMurray. This is Carl Edwards here for RAD,
the entertainment industry's voice for road safety.
Want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible.
Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate.
Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
Just the facts and none of the bull
radio edit.
It's the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor, only on the Performance Motorsports Network.
All right, welcome back. And you know, this is something that has only happened twice that I can think of in all the times that I've been doing the show. Chuck, if you're listening, during commercial break, I had 4 people send me messages wanting to get you back on the show. So the only other time that has happened, it happened with Bill Blair and it happened with Tiger Tom Pistone. And those are the only 2 that's ever happened on my show with. During commercial break, I mean, my Facebook lit up with people wanting to get Chuck back on the show. They loved listening to you and loved your stories and wanted to hear some more. So we'll have to plan that one again, and we'll get Chuck back on real quick. And I think it's fun. But now let's look. Huntsville Speedway, Robbie Reiser and his bunch over there. We covered them last year when they swung the gates on this place. He has posted his schedule. You can find it at huntsvillespeedway.com, one of the safest racetracks around here because Gary McCullough and the Track Pro Safety Team are there each and every week. They will be running limited late models, modifieds, trucks, sportsmans, super stocks, pure stocks, minis, hot shots, and pro buzz and buzz. And those are on a regular basis. Some of them are on and off different weekends, like the mods and the trucks will run opposite weekends. But they start out with an open practice February the 25th. First race of the year, March the 4th. And then they run every weekend all the way through the year, all the way down to September 30th. So check out their schedule. You can find it at huntsvillespeedway.com. All right, let me scroll down here. Don't forget, February the 25th, 411 Motor Speedway, the Frostbuster, 3,500 to win super late model race. They have got everything lined up there at Mitch McCarter's place. They're going to be slinging it February 25th. Also, March the 18th is let me double check this. Oh, Cochran Motor Speedway. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong one. Cochran open practice February 25th with weather permitting. Then March 10th, the Neesmith Series rolls into town, and 2,000 to win March 11th. The Neesmith rolls into town. The Winter Touring Series finale, $5,000 to win race. got a lot more races that'll be coming up real soon. March the 4th, North Georgia Speedway, the Ultimate Super Late Models roll into town. They will be getting it done over at North Georgia Speedway. Boyd Speedway coming up, the Shamrock, March 18th, May, with the Shamrock race. That one is coming. Winchester is going to be hosting Winter Heat Series. I believe that's coming up next weekend. So there's lots of racing all over the place. Please, if you want to go watch racing, please go support your local racetracks. There is nothing that you can't find that kind of racing, that kind of competition anywhere else. Local racetracks is where to spend your money. I mean, yeah, you can watch NASCAR on TV. If you want to sit through that, I've been watching NASCAR fans falling like flies the past year or so. They're on their way down. I mean, unless they change something, they're going to have to really get serious about it. I want to invite each and every one of you to come out to whether it's Boyd Speedway, North Georgia Speedway. Love to have new fans come out and hang out with us, spend some time, and enjoy some racing. We got things going on for the fans at each racetrack, and it's always a lot of fun to come out and watch the local guys get it done. Now, I say guys, we have got girls that race too. Holly Stanfield has been coming on up, doing a really good job. There's another couple that slipped my mind right now, but they're slowly but surely finding their way in there. I meant to ask Chuck, and I forgot about it, if he remembered Kara Hendricks. We got in a conversation the other night. Kara Hendricks was killed at El Cajon Speedway in the 90s. Awesome midget driver. She was one of the ones that was really going to go somewhere. And life was cut short way too soon. And just a very special person and sweet girl and a hell of a wheelman. Miss her. There is a lot of racing going on around. I just kind of throwed that in there. She just popped into my head. Sometimes things happen. But also, I have had a ton of help the past month or so. We have been working. I have to commend my producer, Bradley Clayton, for the awesome hard work he has been putting into getting everything ready to switch over to the Mitch Walker show. I want to thank Mark Chapin at Raps by Outlaw for the graphic work, Anthony Sims, a lot of the guys that have stepped up with music for the intros and the re-entries and all that stuff, all the guys that are doing the voiceovers. Man, you can't do it without, it's just like racing. Doing a radio show is just like racing. It's just about as much work. You just don't get your hands dirty, and you don't get to learn no new cuss words. Well, let me rephrase that. You do get to learn a new cuss word every now and then, especially if you're trying to save a sound file. But, we are putting this in and switching things over because we want to bring you, the listener, the best show that we can each and every week. And it's my goal to say what needs to be said. If I make some people mad, well, so be it. Because there's a lot of things out there, especially in the world of safety, that if nobody says anything, then nothing gets done. And I'm the one that I'll take it. If I got to get up and call somebody out, I'll do it. I've called my own boss out before, and I'll do it again if that's what it takes, because safety has got to be paramount in this sport. We've got to protect our drivers, and we've got to keep them safe. Give them a safe place to race, pay them a reasonable rate, and let them go racing. And they do it for the fans. These guys don't race for money. I mean, the money helps, yeah, but these guys get out there and put on the show for the fans because they absolutely love to race. And, if they were doing it for money, they're in the wrong sport. There's an old story. It says, how do you make $1 million racing? You start with 5 million. Because if you're in this to make money, you're in it for the wrong reasons. Very few people can support themselves racing at a local level. There are a few that do, more power to them, but not many. And it's something that these drivers do it because they love the sport and they love to put on a show for the fans. And getting the fans and the drivers up close and personal with each other, that's one of my goals. I bring drivers on the show to let you, the fans, know about them, hear from them, talk to them. It's a blessing. That's all I can say. I love doing what I do. And it's listeners who tune in every week, the guests that come on the show. If it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do it. I mean, yeah, I could sit here and jack my jaws for 2 hours, but nobody wants to listen to that. They want to hear fans. They want to hear drivers. And we're still looking for, I've got another couple of women that are going to be coming on, spouses of racers. We're going to be getting them on in the coming weeks, trying to kind of wait till we get switched over, get a lot of those things going. Got a lot of stuff going with history. Going to be doing some history, giving you some history lessons. Going to be doing some of that later on. Got a lot of things planned and looking forward to each and every one of them and bringing them to you, the listeners. So keep that in mind and make sure you tune in. You can download the app, go to your app store for your smartphone, just search Performance Motorsports Network, download the app, set your alarm so that you never miss the show on Monday nights. And we'll be getting our guest co-host back in. I've got to get Jimmy Geekus, got to get him on here real soon. He is going to be one of my regular co-hosts. Shannon Slider Young is the other one. And Shannon has been kind of under the weather. So we've been trying to get him doctored up and get him took care of and get him back on. It's always fun when you got two people going at it and having a good time. But I just want to thank everyone for listening and for being a part of it and sending me all the messages that you do. Keep them coming and follow me on Twitter, 309THEDR. That's at 309THEDR. Follow me. I don't know that I'll contribute anything, but we'll have a lot of fun with it anyway. If you're not a friend of mine on Facebook, add me as a friend and follow along with my crazy antics. Well, we're out of time. They're waving the checkered flag. We're going to roll on out of here. I want to tell everybody, have a good week. Go racing somewhere this weekend. Take a kid with you. It's been the Monday Night Results Show with your host, me, Mitch Walker. They call me the Doctor, and you'll find us every week exclusively right here on the Performance Motorsports Network. See ya.
Y'all ready for this? The Monday Night Results Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com, a member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either PMN or Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., the advertisers, or the marketing partners. If you would like to hear the results from your local track, or you are a track owner or a promoter and want us to cover your venue, give us a call during normal business hours, 717-749-0444. IM us on our Facebook page or email us at performancemotorsportsnetwork@gmail.com. Be listening again next week as we are talking results on the Monday Night Results Show with the Doctor. For the Monday Night Results Show, I'm Big Mike.